All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're talking about a massive construction project happening all across Europe. But, this isn't about steel and concrete. Nope. This one is being built with data, with code, and with a whole lot of policy.
So the European Union has this really grand ambition. They're calling it the digital decade. It's their big plan to make sure the next 10 years are all about European digital sovereignty, common standards, basically a tech future that reflects European values, not just the ones being pushed by other global giants. It is a huge, huge undertaking.
And that really brings us to the big question, doesn't it? When you're trying to build something this enormous, you need architects, you need a blueprint. But what happens when your lead architects have fundamentally different ideas about what the final building should even look like? Well, that's exactly the situation we've got. There are three major players, three powerful institutions, all hammering away at the same project. But each one is coming at it from a completely different angle, with a very different vision. So let's meet our first architect. First up, we have the European Commission. Now, if this whole thing is a construction project, you can think of the Commission as the lead engineer. They're all about the practical stuff. They're the ones focused on building the engine that's going to make this whole digital future actually run. The Commission's guiding philosophy is this idea called neo-functionalism. I know, it sounds a little complicated, but the concept is actually pretty simple. You start with the practical, technical problems. The idea is if you can get countries to work together on stuff like creating a single digital market, that cooperation will naturally spill over and lead to deeper political bonds later on. It's integration by doing, one step at a time. And you can totally see this practical approach in their main priorities. They're not starting with big, lofty political ideals. No, they're focused on the nuts and bolts. How do we manage all this data? How do we develop our own tech like AI? And critically, how do we build the digital infrastructure to support it all? And this very technical approach could really change your day-to-day life. I mean, take the proposed European digital identity. It's a perfect example. Just imagine having one secure digital wallet on your phone that lets you do all of this seamlessly, no matter which EU country you're in. For the Commission, this isn't just about making things easy. It's a tangible step towards creating a real shared European experience. Okay, so let's move on to our second architect, the European Parliament. If the Commission is the engineer building the engine, the Parliament sees itself as the guardian. They're the ones looking out for the people who will actually have to live and work inside this new digital world. For them, it's all about rights, values, and the citizen. So the Parliament is coming from a more federalist point of view. They're not just trying to build an efficient market. They're trying to build a genuine European digital citizenship. The goal here is a unified political identity where everyone's fundamental rights are protected online by a common European authority. And this quote right here, it just gets straight to the heart of their mission. Remember, the Parliament is the only directly elected EU institution. Its power comes straight from the people. So, of course, its primary concern is making sure this digital shift actually serves citizens, protects their privacy, and holds up their rights. You can see this focus pretty clearly in how they want to spend the money. The Digital Europe program is a massive €7.5 billion investment. And just look where the biggest slices of that pie are going: high-performance computing and AI. But the Parliament's push here isn't just about being competitive. It's about making sure that AI is developed ethically and that our cybersecurity is strong enough to protect every single citizen. And that brings us to our third and final architect, the Council of the European Union. Now, this isn't just one person. Think of it more like a big committee room filled with representatives from every single member state. And their main job? To protect their own national interests while trying to find some common ground. Their philosophy is what's known as intergovernmentalism. The key idea here is cooperation, not integration. Member states, they work together, sure, but they are very, very careful about giving up their national authority. They would much rather negotiate agreements between countries than have some central EU body impose a single rule from the top down. The whole debate over a digital tax is the perfect example of how this all plays out. You've got the Commission and the Parliament pushing hard for a single EU-wide digital tax. But the Council, they'd much prefer a broader, global agreement that's negotiated between individual countries. This just perfectly highlights that fundamental tension between a unified, top-down European approach and one that's based on national cooperation. So there you have it. We've got the engineer, we've got the Guardian, and we've got the Committee of Nations. 3 different architects with 3 very different blueprints. So, where does that leave Europe's digital future? This table is a fantastic summary of the whole thing. You've got the Commission, driven by that practical, neo-functionalist idea, focused on technical integration. Then the Parliament, guided by federalism, always championing citizen rights. And finally, the Council, with its intergovernmentalist view, prioritizing consensus among the member states. And you can see that clash on taxation just laid out crystal clear. Now, look, it's not all disagreement. All 3 of them definitely agree on the big goals, like needing a single digital market and having really strong cybersecurity. But deep fault lines are still there on issues like just how much power the EU should have versus the member states, especially when you start talking about things like taxes and what digital sovereignty really truly means. And this brings us to the final, really critical question. In a world where digital technology moves at lightning speed, is this slow, complicated, deliberate process of balancing 3 different visions a feature? You know, a way to make sure all voices are heard? Or is it a bug, something that's actually holding Europe back in the global race? That's the challenge these 3 architects have to wrestle with every single day.